everyone, I'm the Black-Haired Richard Core Kenobi here, and I'm back again for another movie review, and today we're going to be reviewing Teen Titans Go to the Movies, based off of the series of the same name. So, yes everyone, it is finally here, my review. I apologize if I am a day late. I have been dealing with minor back pains, and that is why I had to delay this review. But I did see this movie on Saturday, and I wanted to wait a while to let my thoughts sink in to decide, is it worthy of the praise it's beginning, or is it pretty much just another bad episode that we can just toss to the wayside, using it as an example of why this show still and will always probably be nothing more than a complete joke. Now, as you all know, I've been reviewing the show for 5 years, and initially I was willing to give it a chance, but after the first season and seeing this show going from what the Titans do to their off time, to seeing them become complete jokes, buffoons, and just literally not worthy of being called the Titans or even superheroes, I, like everyone else, just wrote this show off and initially hated it with a burning passion. But over the years, I've come to accept that it's a thing, and I have admitted that there can and have been good episodes, and there's more passion and effort put into it than we think. And that's more than I can say for the other Cartoon Network shows of reboots these days. So, yes, now that they have their movie, let's decide what this movie's fate will be, at least in my opinion. So, yes, first of all, I just want to let you all know that there will be some mild spoilers here. I know you guys don't care about going to see this movie, but just in case those of you are so curious, I will not spoil anything. The second thing is that I will try and not go too in-depth on this movie because it's Teen Titans Go, and there's really not much you can say. In order to tackle a Teen Titans Go review, in my opinion, you need to take the examples the show has taught you. Be as simple as you can be. So that's what I'm gonna do. This being said, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, right off the bat, the story for this movie is very interesting, and I am baffled that they actually did bother to include a story. But again, this is a movie. All movies must have a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this movie's story is, okay. On the one hand, it's actually pretty decent, and there's great social commentary in there about superhero movies and where they are today, and how every superhero imaginable is getting their own movies, and the sidekicks, the lesser-known ones, are not. Instead, they don't even get acknowledged, of course this being Batman, Superman, Guardians of the Galaxy, you name it. And it's very interesting. But on the other hand, this movie's story is somewhat predictable, and it can be seen as somewhat mediocre compared to other great animated film stories, or just other superhero stories that are similar to this, like, of course, Deadpool, which that's going to be ironic later on. But for the purposes of this, let's just go ahead and give you guys the rundown. So of course the story is that Robin has been fed up with the Justice League and other superheroes constantly calling them a joke and not seeing them as real heroes. And he decides the best way to do this is that he needs his own movie. So him and the Titans go to Hollywood to see Jade Wilson, the famous superhero movie director who has been giving out amazing blockbusters of all types of superhero movies, even challengers of the unknown. And for those of you who do not get that DC reference, watch Batman Brave and the Bold. Anyway, so yes, but after the pitch Robin gives her, she says no. So, Robin being distraught, Raven tells them that, okay, well here's what will get you a movie, an arch nemesis. So, they go to fight the one, the only, Slade Wilson, voiced by Will Arnett. Wow, really? Did I just say Alan? Oh, wow, this movie's being too simple on me. So, yes, that is the story, and as I said, it's very straightforward, but at the same time, I do like that the movie is acknowledging and giving some interesting commentary on the fact that there are way too many superhero movies these days. And if it didn't do that, and it just was just a bland story for the sake of the show's blandness, then I think this would have been one of the many downfalls of this movie. But surprisingly, the story is okay. It actually fits it very well, and the story and the writing on how it's executed plays it not too seriously, in fact, very not serious at all, and it just has fun with it. It doesn't care whether or not you like it or or not. It's easy, simple to follow, and that's that. So yeah, for what it is, I think the story was actually very interesting. So yeah, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It's almost a struggle to call it good, but I wouldn't say it's bad either. But I can understand how some would take issue of this being too simple and kidified. So yeah, the characters. Now let's talk about the characters. Okay, so of course the main characters are the Titans, right? Robin, Beast Boy, Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg, all played respectively by Scott Menville, Greg Snipes, Tara Strong, Hayden Winch, and finally Caden Payton. And once again, the Titans are the Go version of the Titans. They're stupid, they're imbeciles. It is such a surprise that they are labeled superheroes, and they are turned up to 11 in this film. Like, if you either liked or didn't like their shenanigans in their own show, then oh boy, does this movie take that and amp it up. But surprisingly in this film, I actually thought the characters, the Titans themselves, were very good. Yes, they've been irritating in every episode, and they can't take anything seriously, but for the purposes of this, I'm happy that Robin is the one to take this seriously, and he's actually the one to get a character arc, because in the series, Raven is the only one who takes shit seriously. Yeah, she goofs off with the Titans here and there, but in this movie, she is still very serious. She does actually give some interesting suggestions, and they do feel like a real team, and the dynamic and chemistry between these 5 actors who have been playing these characters for a total of almost 20 years, it's still there, and it is just so great to finally see them on the big screen together, and to see their family dynamic play out in the way that I've always wanted it to see played out. And, of course, it's just amazing hearing them all be this idiotic, and yeah. Now, there are a couple of lines that I feel that they delivered with very good execution, or sometimes they were just doing it because, you know, they were trying to keep themselves from saying it with a straight face and not bursting out into laughter. So they actually have some great passion in their performance, and they're just having fun with this. So their energy just comes off the screen, and you can't help but just laugh at how stupid this is, or you can't just but smile and just, you know, be along for the ride. So yeah, very good. And the other character, of course, being Slade Wilson, who is the main antagonist of this film. Now, okay, as a huge fan of Slade, aka Deathstroke, this movie does not treat him like a joke at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If you love the Slade from the original series, and who could stand up to the Titans on a physical level, who could get in their minds and play mind games with them, of course, pretty much give them master illusions, then they took that Slade, except, you know, without Ron Perlman, they put him in this film, and they just gave him some go humor, and that is where Will Arnett comes in, because Will's performance as Slade, while yes, it does sound like BoJack Horseman if he just had a bad day and wanted to become a supervillain, pretty much, it's still a great performance. His comedic timing is perfect, he delivers his lines with very good conviction, and the script does not let him down at the slightest, and he's just one of the best parts of this film. I literally would be okay seeing an origin film or a Slade movie with Will attached to it. He really does. I think you can add this to another great animated performance. So this, Lego Batman, and BoJack Horseman are his 3 best performances, in my opinion at least. And it's just quite amazing that they were able to take this Slade that we all know and love and just bring him back in such a great way. Now, yes, it is a shame they didn't get Ron Perlman to do it, but again, Ron is not going to come back and do this. That's just a fact. Now, there is one problem I had with Slade's character, is the fact of his ultimate motivation. Now, if you all know Slade or slash Deathstroke from the comics, you know he's not the type of mustache-twirling villain who just wants to take over the world just because. But in this movie, they had to give him that motivation because, as my friend 8-Bit Misfit brought up, it's the only motivation kids understand supervillains doing. So it would have been interesting if they would have used maybe Brother Blood or maybe Control Freak in this scenario, but they used Slade. And again, that's just very weird that they did that. But yeah, Slade himself is fine. Of course, the constant comparisons to Deadpool, which is ironic. Even Slade himself points out that he came first, and Deadpool should be saying he's not him. And I find it ironic in this day and age that Deadpool is more recognizable and more well-known than Slade Wilson. Because if you remember, back in the early 2000s, barely anybody outside comic readers knew who Deadpool was, and everyone knew who Slade was in the mainstream thanks to the OG Titans. So I find it interesting that it's reversed in 15 years later. So that's very interesting. And again, his humor is just funny, and I like that he's pretty much trying to tell the Titans he's not Deadpool. So again, Deathstroke or Slade, whatever you want to call him, he was very good. Then, of course, the last character in this movie is Superman himself. Now, yes, as you all know, Nicolas Cage does play Superman, and this has been kind of a nerd joke for the longest time because, as you all remember, or some of you don't know, Nicolas Cage at one point back in 1998 was supposed to play Superman in an adaptation of The Death and Return of Superman, directed by Tim Burton and written by Kevin Smith. I swear to God I'm not making that up. Go look it up. There's an interesting documentary on it too. But Cage's performance as Superman in this is very good, guys. I literally was so surprised on how his performance was very... I don't know how to describe it. It is typical Nicolas Cage now, but again, it really comes off as he does have that somewhat heroic presence to him, but it's just Nicolas Cage playing Superman. And surprisingly, he does have a lot of screen time. He's got maybe like 7 to 8 minutes in this film total. So again, the fact that it wasn't just a cameo or a joke for the sake of it being a Easter egg, I thought was pretty good. And again, I would be totally okay for Nicolas Cage playing Superman in more animation, but that's just me. So yes, overall the characters are fine, but they don't really change anything up except for the added character arcs to Robin and somewhat Deathstroke, and of course just having Nicolas Cage as Superman just be there just because he's there. So yeah, overall the characters were okay, but yes, they could have been so much better. Now let's move on to the music. Now the music in this is very interesting because again, superhero movies these days, their music, their composers literally just play it generic, and superhero scores have no more character in them, and I, for one, do not like that. But for this film, there's only 2 songs that really show that this movie has character, and that, of course, is the Lil Yachty rendition of the Go theme, and finally, the upbeat inspirational theme by Michael Bolton and the rest of the cast. Sorry if you guys hear noise in the background. And these two songs were just amazing. Really, they got stuck in my head, and especially if you guys have not heard of Michael Bolton, I would highly suggest you go buy his album, Songs of Cinema. And he really was great to listen to, especially since his song is a take on an 80s theme. Yes, and this film is somewhat of a love tribute to the 80s, and I like that. So it has 80s energy to it, it has symphonies, and then with the Lil Yachty rendition, it has rap. And the only thing I didn't like about the soundtrack overall in this film is that there are only 2 songs that are memorable. The rest of the themes are either pulled from movies or they're just blandly composed. But still, regardless, I must give the composer of this film some pretty good credit for giving us some pretty decent emotional and action cues. But if you're expecting this to be on the level of Incredibles 2, you're going to be sadly disappointed. So yes, there is that. But again, overall, if I had to recommend the soundtrack for only 2 songs, I would recommend you go check out Lil Yachty's rendition of Go and Michael Bolton's upbeat inspirational song. Now, the funny thing is that the Go theme performed by Lil Yachty was extremely hyped, but in the actual film, it's used 3 times, but the first time it's used in the beginning, and at the end, it's sung by the cast themselves, and not Lil Yachty. So I find that very strange and kind of bad marketing on Warner Brothers' part. Like, it would have been cool if the cast sung it at the beginning, but then have Lil Yachty sing it at the end while the Titans lip sync it. So again, I don't understand why they didn't do that. That's like having Mulan 5 do Aquaman, but it's a completely different band singing it, and their version doesn't get played until the end. So you see what I mean? I don't like that. And also, too, it was just nice hearing the cast sing. They can really sing with these singers, so bravo to these songs. Now, finally, let's talk about the animation. Now, this being a $10 million budget movie, the animation is not jerky as it usually is in the show, and there is more movement, there's more detail for when the action starts or when there's just a chase scene. It's very good. The animation definitely has a high energy to it, but unlike the MLP film where the animation went through a complete overhaul so it can look more unique and actually make you wish this could be the animation for the actual show, this film does not do that. And again, it is quite a shame that they didn't do that, because if you guys remember one of the most infamous Teen Titans Go specials, which I will not name for the sake of this because I don't want to risk getting it put back in your head, but if you know it, please don't mention it. Just please don't, because then someone's going to start singing it. So yes, I really wish they would have taken that concept and made it into a movie, or just had it for some reason. I don't know. Again, the animation is fine, but it is not well detailed. It still has that simplified baby look to it, but surprisingly, when this film has action scenes, holy shit, does the animation actually flow and have some decency to it. And there is an actual change up in animation. I was actually surprised by that. It does harken back to Captain Underpants, so that's actually pretty good. But still, the animation for what it is, it's fine, but really, I wish they would have given it a completely different look. But that's just me. It's still fine, regardless. And, yeah, that about wraps it up, guys. So, with all of this being said, what is my final verdict? What is my final verdict on Teen Titans Go to the Movies? Well, guys, I can say this. If you were expecting me to rip this movie apart and rant, then you're going to be sadly disappointed, because, again, I've accepted that this movie is what it is. I've accepted the series as a whole for what it is. It's not perfect, it's not that good, but it is far from being the worst thing mankind's ever created. That's just my opinion. That being said, this movie is one of, if not the best episodes of Teen Titans Go, because that's all it is. It's not a movie. It's not a theatrical experience like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, like Lego Batman, like Incredibles, like Big Hero 6. It's not any of those things. What this movie is a high-budgeted stakes episode, and for that, it accomplishes what it set out to do, and it just begs the question why this movie wasn't shown on TV, when Steven Universe's movie is going to be shown on TV, when Regular Show's movie was shown on TV. You see the point here? So, yeah, for what this movie is, it's not bad, it's harmless, it's fun, it knows what it is, and it has fun with it. It's literally like Deadpool for kids. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's literally what the Lego Batman movie was, but with Teen Titans. It has a lot of interesting jokes, it has some interesting callbacks, it has great commentary, it actually has great commentary, I can't believe I'm saying that, and finally, it has a lot of passion and Easter eggs in it, so you can't say this movie wasn't made by greedy little douchebags who just wanted it to be made to cash in on it. No, it does feel like the crew on this really put a lot of hard work and effort into it, even though that statement can be questionable at best. So with that being said, this movie is enjoyable for kids, for fans of the show. It's not, and for people like me who are willing to give it a chance. But if you're not a fan of the show, you still aren't a fan of the show, you still refuse to watch it, you can skip this movie. So I'm going to give this movie a very much deserved 7 out of 10. Yes, I know, deserved. Because again, I'm looking at this movie for what it is. It has energy, it has great commentary, it has some great music, it's very funny in most places, and it's just okay. I was very surprised. So, yeah, guys, again, if you're expecting this movie to be a huge disappointment or just a huge piece of crap, then you'll get it. But if you're just willing to give it a chance, then you'll be surprised. So yes, with that being said, that was my review, guys. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this review, then please hit that like button. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Love to have you. And if you want to stay up to date with all my videos and more the minute they drop, then please hit that little notification bell to be notified. And finally, let's get a discussion going about this. What do you guys think of this movie? Did you see it? Did you not see it? Are you intrigued to see it now? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Whatever you think, let's have a civil talk about it. And hopefully, yes, this movie will push the series in the direction it's going till its inevitable end, and then we can get the real Titans back, which they are still coming back, so don't worry. So, yeah, guys, until then, this is Richard Core Kenobi saying, may the Force be with you all, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye, everyone!